Greetings, friends. It is me, Duncan, and this is the Duncan Trussell Family Hour podcast. This is Claymation Me, by the way. I have an entire team of amazing sculptors who are frame by frame doing everything that you're seeing here right now. We came up with an incredible system. There's 16,000 of them right now, and I talk fast, so they are working really hard. They're sweating. The old man passed out. I can't remember his name, but there's plenty more to take his place. And this is just an indication of how if you really put your mind to it, you can do anything that you want to. You just have to work together with a team. And these they're great. They're incredible. And what's even crazier is they're not even here. These are North Korean workers, and they are so good. I've got an interesting podcast for you today. In fact, it isn't even my podcast. I'm sure you've heard of this podcast. If you haven't, you should check it out. It's called The Leather Rose. And from time to time, a podcast will actually signal boost another podcast by doing an episode of that podcast. So today, it's a Leather Rose that is going to blow your mind. Of course, The Leather Rose is the #1 podcast for mysteries, conspiracies, for fringe theories, and has blown the roof off of a lot of very powerful industries, including the wet wipe industry. The Leather Rose was the podcast that leaked the big wet wipe conspiracy of 2022. If you used wet wipes in 2022 and you noticed that your butthole sealed up, it was because of a nanoparticle that they were using in the wet wipes that caused the temporary sealing of the anus. And thanks to the Leather Rose, wet wipes are like wet wipes again instead of sealing wipes, which is what they should have called them. There's a class action lawsuit. A number should come up on your screen if you had if your asshole sealed up because of using wet wipes in 2022, especially if you were at Fort Bragg. I've got shows coming up. I'm going to be at Comedy on State in Madison, Wisconsin. That is this weekend, July 18th, 19th, and 20th. The Helium Comedy Club in Buffalo, New York, August 8th, 9th, and 10th. Side Splitters Comedy Club in Tampa, Florida, August 15th, 16th, and 17th. And then I'm so excited about the Wilbur in Boston. And then after that, I'm going to release my comedy special, and I'm excited about that too. All right, look, I have to tell you, I feel like if I don't say something about it, I'm going to seem like some kind of like buffoon. On the other end, maybe that's the coolest thing to do, is just not even mention the crazy shit that happened in the news recently. But it was just some backstory. I just got back from a week-long vacation with my family. Up until this point, most of our family vacations have been the opposite of what you would call a vacation. Just the last one was just, there were hospital visits. There were, a bag fell on a baby's head. Just catastrophe after catastrophe. But this one was just fucking great. At the beach with my kids, watching them have fun, just swimming in the ocean, relaxing. It was just amazing. And my wife and I were just like, holy shit, man, we figured it out. Like this was a pleasant family vacation. Like my take on family vacations was cynical and wrong. We just, I guess, had this 3 years of really bad fucking luck, which is probably, I guess I shouldn't talk about this, but my wife got into a car accident with a Bavarian witch. And after that, the vacations got weird. And that is actually what she said right after the car accident to my wife. She said, I'm going to fuck up the next few years of your vacations, you bitch. And we were like, that can't be real. But 3 years later, we had a great vacation. So the curse is lifted, I guess. But on the way back, on the plane, watching Fox News, watching the Trump rally to see if he'd say anything snarky or funny or incendiary about the debate. Well, you can guess what we watched live. Like my wife holding the baby we almost watched Trump's brains get blown out at a fucking rally. And wow, that was the craziest, most surreal shit ever, because I think we were like, at least in my line of sight, we were the only people watching the fucking news. Everybody else on the plane, psychologically healthy. They're like, I don't want to watch the news. Why are you watching the fucking news? What's wrong with you? The new Godzilla is on. Are you really going to watch a fucking Trump rally? You could watch that at any time. You're on a plane. Enjoy Godzilla versus King Kong. But no one saw it. No one knew. They just saw my wife like gasp and then like start crying. Because, you know, if you watched it, I'm sure by now you've seen the footage, it seemed like he got killed. Like he went down. You know, I've seen enough death videos where like when people get shot, sometimes they kind of seem like they're okay, but they're not. But we thought he had died, and that was terrifying. Like and this has been said a million times. Everything about these sorts of things gets said a million times. My political take, people hate it when I talk politics. I'm not going to talk politics actually, but my takes are always fucking wrong. But holy shit, man. I don't know what would happen if that kid had been a better shot. Like all the folks out there saying they wish that he killed the Trump, or you're out of your fucking minds. Like, are you like, what the fuck? You don't live out here, and you don't know what's going on in the rest of the country. If you think like that would have worked out in some great way, it would have just created tumult and chaos and horror. And I don't think that is a necessarily like a hot take at all, but it was just a crazy way, an insane way to end the vacation. And then, of course, everybody's now like calling for harmony and world peace, and you know that I don't know how we get there. And I have no special fucking message about that, because I don't know. I have such a angry, freaked out part of me that I try to sort of subdue with the spiritual stuff, but I get real cynical and dark. And you know, this thing that happened, you know, again, this isn't a hot take either, but I was talking to some friends saying, you know, I think like the odds are pretty good something might happen to Trump, just because the way stuff tends to work when, you know, there's power, when there's like some kind of like cluster of power. Power doesn't want to let go of power, and you know, there's just so many various groups that don't want that guy to be president. Like, aside from the obvious ones, like there's just fuck running for president. It's insane. And also like if you weren't like blown away by like that guy getting up and fist pumping after almost getting his fucking brains blown out, or if you actually think that was staged, come on, you know that was real. And wow, you know, it's just like such a okay, I'm not going to do politics, but damn, that was a pretty badass move. Like, just to put it in perspective, like I went on a week's vacation with my family to the beach, and I've taken some naps. I've let myself relax after the vacation because it was fun, but you know, you're not getting a break when there's kids and you want to spend time with them at the beach. The experience is one of like, you know, trying to keep them from eating sand or drowning, essentially. And that, like, I'm fucking tired, man. That made me tired. But like, if I got the tip of my ear blown off because some fucking kid tried to shoot me from a rooftop that my security team should have known about, like, you're not going to see me for a few weeks. That's Elden Ring time. That's Elden Ring. I'm going to be playing Elden Ring and smoking weed for a couple of weeks, at least, maybe longer, maybe a year. So I thought that was just badass. And if you don't think that, then I don't know. You might have the mind. You might be plagued by, like, I don't know why you wouldn't see. I'm doing politics. I don't want to do politics. People get mad when I do. But what I do want to do is tell you what I've been thinking about now that everyone's talking about how we should have harmony. And what I've been using is some kind of antidote on the cynical part of me that just thinks, well, everything's fucking hopeless. There's no way this is ever going to fucking work out. And Jesus fucking Christ, like how the fact that our entire country seems to be depending on like the survival of this, like presidential nominees on either side, or there's going to be some conflagration, like that freaks me the fuck out. And that, you know, when you see like Biden or people on the right or the left or wherever calling for unity and harmony, and like it's a nice thought and it's an easy fucking thing to say, but and also I don't like that they sort of co-opt harmony and unity, and because I don't think they really know anything about that, or at least they don't seem like it. You know, judge a tree by its stinky, angry, senile fruit. But all that being said, I keep thinking about this. Check this out. Oh God, how do I get this to work? Let's see here. Nope. Not that, but that's fucking cool. They found a cave on the moon. Not that. That's the one after. Where the fuck did I put it? Oh, this one. This. That's Ram Dass's puja table, which is the table that you would meditate and pray in front of. And you could see he had a picture of Trump up there. And, you know, if you know Ram Dass, you can probably guess who he voted for. But this was something he did. Like, he always had a picture of the president on his puja table. And he did that whether or not he liked him or agreed with their politics or not. Like, he didn't care. His POV was, what a brutal fucking job. And that, you know, if people have taken that job, that's incredibly heavy karma that you're going to have no matter what, no matter who you are or what you do. You're going to get really intense karma. I mean, we all get karma. And I think some people maybe misunderstand what karma means, but essentially the idea is more than just what you put out comes back to you. It's more along the lines of like, we're in this ocean of time, and any movement you make creates ripples, and those ripples can complexify in really crazy ways that can prolong suffering for you from the cosmological perspective of reincarnation, like millennia. So the idea is, you know, we're all the same family or community or soul cluster or soul pod, and that everyone's is eventually going to wake up. And you know what's cool about Buddhism? That's in Buddhism. Like, everyone at some point will be a Buddha, everyone around you. And so the idea would be, I guess, to expedite that process, to throw away all your ill will and anger and bitterness and fear, and just recognize underneath the persona and personality is a soul who deserves love just like you do. And that's hardcore. It sounds cheesy as fuck, but that is, try it. Think of like someone who you hate more than anything in the world, someone who really did something awful to you. And then imagine putting their, you know, picture in front of you all the time. Imagine making them the center of your good thoughts, even before things you want for yourself, wanting it for them. That's insane and hardcore. And I've never really fully pulled that off. Like, maybe for like a couple of minutes I can sort of do it, but then inevitably the dark thoughts will creep in, or I'll just become fixated on something I want and my family and my kids and what was best for me, and like, or what my friends, how I want them to be happy. But when it comes to like somebody, you find unappealing, dangerous, evil, that's not the easiest thing ever. I mean, a lot of this stuff, it sounds good when you read it. Like you read the Dalai Lama, Thich Nhat Hanh, the Bible, the Quran, Sun Tzu, Lao Tzu. No, maybe not Sun Tzu. That was all about war. Lao Tzu. And you read these things about peace, and it sounds fucking good. But the execution of it is really, really hard. And that's why they call it a practice. And because the idea is you're supposed to fucking practice for that moment you're watching the news on the plane and you almost watch an old dude's head get blown off, and you don't freak out so that you could sort of maintain some semblance of calm for the people who are freaking out. And that's the idea. You want to be that thing. And, if you're sort of waiting for the political environment of the United States to align in a way that matches your values, then before you calm down, then how could there ever be any real peace? Because when does that ever fucking happen? Like, how does that even happen? So I keep thinking about that. For those of you out there who are like having like violent thoughts and stuff, it's like, shit, man, that's terrible karma. And I get it, not about Trump, but I get it. I've certainly gone there. You should listen to earlier podcasts I've done. I would talk about how we need to be throwing Molotov cocktails at, well, I won't go into it, but I went through a definitely a period of sort of thinking, the answer is some form of violence. And that's so dumb. How does that even work? You know what they say, a broken machine cannot fix itself. Or if you're just, am I getting, the point is, like, power tends to get violent. And violence tends to lend itself to hierarchy, and hierarchy is how you create massive imbalances of power, and that just leads to the exact same manifestation of whatever the fuck you're upset about. So the reason I love all of these teachers like Ram Dass and all of the mystical stuff is because it sort of points towards like this insanely hardcore thing that definitely sounds cheesy until you try it, which is you're not going to get your world peace or harmonious society or utopian vision if the path to get there is the same exact path that the people you're trying to overthrow trailblazed. If you're going to use the techniques of violence, if you're going to use the techniques of aggression, then maybe when you're the leader, chairman, king, prince, whatever of your utopia, maybe you'll get a few years of something that seems like peace, but inevitably it'll just start decaying. There will be entropy, and because the seeds you planted were the exact same seeds that grew the exact same fucking weed that you thought you should tear out of the ground, you're just gonna get that weed again. That's the truth. Maybe we all just need to get off our fucking phones. I mean, doesn't it kind of seem like that? And I know it's idiotic to try to boil everything down to some simple sort of upstream cause, but when you think about it, we're all just staring at our fucking phones right now. And maybe you're looking at yours right now. I don't count, by the way. You can look at my podcast on your phone. I talked to a lot of high-ranking individuals about this, and they said, of all anything on media, my podcast is actually allowed. And in this picture of terrified people in paradise staring at their phones, they are not watching my podcast. They are, I don't know, they're watching the news or they're on Drudge Report or something, but definitely not my podcast. But maybe that's the problem, is like all this we've gotten too good at propaganda, and now we're just getting infected with propaganda. We're just getting propaganda injected into our brains that's not just coming from the state like the good old days, but it's coming from all over the planet. Bots and AI, and we're just staring at it, and it's just giving a hand job to our amygdalas, and we're all getting freaked the fuck out about things that we can't control anyway. Maybe that's what's going on. I stumbled upon this incredible C.S. Lewis quote that actually reminds me of a Jack Kornfield quote that I'm sure you have heard me say a million, billion, trillion times, because it's one of my favorite quotes, one of my favorite spiritual quotes of all time. If you don't know who C.S. Lewis is, he wrote The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, a lot of other great books. He was like a Christian mystic, I guess you could say. But C.S. Lewis summed up something I heard Jack Kornfield say, which is, tend to the part of the garden you can touch. The idea being, if you're always in your fucking phone all the time and you're worrying over things outside of your control, then you feel powerless. And the whole time you're feeling powerless, there's definitely stuff you could do around you that will help people in a real way. Because absorbing data, I don't think that does anything for the world. And I think that's sort of the way the news cycle tricks us. There's some sense of participation when you're not participating at all. You're just watching. Maybe there's an idea that if you watch it enough, you will be compelled to do something to help the world. But I think most of us just go into freeze mode. You've heard of fight, flight, or freeze. I think that's what happens. Is a lot of us are just frozen. We have no fucking idea what to do. And we all want to do, if there is something we want to do, it's something fucking grandiose, some incredible thing, something that will truly change the world. And we get so freaked out and scared and angry that a very, thank God, super small percentage of us do horrible things like what that fucking kid did. Some messianic lunatic who's been completely blasted by propaganda his whole fucking life. Who knows? Maybe he's an accelerationist. Who knows what he was? Maybe he was just having a psychotic break. Maybe he was some kind of, MK Ultra Manchurian candidate. We'll never fucking know. But the bottom line is that's where it leads. You end up wanting to make some instantaneous, huge change. And it doesn't work like that. And the whole time that you are imagining what you need to do to fix the world, cool the environment, desalinate the oceans for clean water, find a way to cure some disease or spread some philosophy in a way people can understand that will bring world peace or whatever the fuck it is your messianic fucking narcissistic ass is trying to do, you're ignoring people around you. And for me, that's my family and the people in my neighborhood and my friends. That's all that any of us really should be freaking out over, and not freaking out, but just where can you chip in a little bit? It doesn't have to be anything big. That's the thing. Millions of people doing very small acts of kindness will create the change that we're all hoping for. And that's true. That's 100% true. which is why there's something so incredibly insidious about the news cycle, because it's just inviting us to be observers and ignorers of like what's directly around us, because we're so fucking freaked out. But yeah, this I just happened I never heard this C.S. Lewis quote before, and I happened upon this. This, by the way, is not C.S. Lewis that you're about to hear. It's a deep fake of, well, it's not even a deep fake. It's just some British guy I found on 11 Labs. Now, that sums it up. It's incredible. Enjoy your Lord. And we all know that C.S. Lewis, when he talked about his Lord, was talking about Kanye West. So I'm just going to wrap up whatever the fuck this was with one of my favorite Kanye West quotes. God damn it, I knew this wouldn't work.
I am God's vessel, but my greatest pain in life is that I will never be able to see myself perform live.
All praise Kanye. May he come to our rescue in this dark time of need. Now, everybody, I would like to introduce you to one of my favorite podcasts on planet Earth, The Leather Rose. Oh, and before I forget, I would love for you guys who are in New York to go and see Johnny Pemberton's one-person show. It is incredible. Minnesota colostomy bag. Let me find the details on that right now. Holy shit. I saw it in its early phase, and it was so good and so inspiring. Like, truly, like, it was hilarious, brilliantly funny. I'm sure you've seen Johnny on Fallout. He's a really great actor, not just a great comedian. But let me find the deets on this real quick. Yeah, Minnesota Reggae Colostomy Bag will be at the Soho Playhouse in New York. That's July 22nd, and the links to get tickets to that are going to be at DuncanTrussell.com underneath this podcast. Thank you for letting me ramble to you, by the way. If it sounds like rambly and sort of confused, it's because it definitely is. I am confused, and I don't, being a parent right now and wanting world peace and hoping that everything's fine and that my kids get to live in a beautiful world, which I know is selfish because I should want everybody to live in a beautiful world. It sort of leaves me stammering and confused and hoping for some kind of quick answer to the problem, which is why anytime I get like that, I always put on some Kanye, I light a cigar, and I walk around my neighborhood completely naked. And that connects me with my community and my neighbors, and it brings peace to me. And I think to my neighbors too. They like to watch me. They like to watch my naked ass walk around. Okay, everybody, here we go. It's The Leather Rose. And by the way, if you like this episode of The Leather Rose, you can find it on iTunes or wherever you stream podcasts.
It don't matter. All right, let us begin. Maybe I'll talk like this now.
Okay. I'm going to keep talking like... I'm going to keep
Okay.
talking like this.
Okay.
I'm going to keep talking like this.
Maybe
All
I'll
right,
be.
here we go.
Maybe I'll be like this. Okay.
That sounds good.
It sounds good, does it?
Sure.
Sounds real good, huh?
Sounds great.
Sounds great. I love it. That's a great idea.
Now let's begin.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Clint Ambrosia, and you are listening or watching The Leather Rose. I'm stepping in for David Scrimley, who unfortunately was attacked by a wild bull shark off the coast of Florida. We all know and we've all heard of the dangers of swimming in Florida or any of America's seas or lakes right now. Shark attacks are at an all-time high, and no one knows why, though some say it could be because of anomalous geomagnetic internal storms. Of course, we'll never know for sure, or maybe we will, and maybe we'll find out today with today's guest. By now, we've all heard of Corbin Sweetwing, recently granted amnesty by the United States government. He served a 10-year term in the federal facility for named whistleblowers in Richmond, Virginia. And now that he's been released, he has not only written a bestseller book, Inside the Inside, but he's also produced a wonderful song, which we'll play later in the podcast. And now he's here with us today. I'm sure you're as excited as I am. Everyone, welcome Corbin Sweetwing.
Hi, Clint. It's just great to be here. I'm just having a fantastic day. Sorry to hear about David Scrimley. That's just absolutely devastating.
A tragedy.
To be expected. It's devastating news.
A tragedy.
And, it's a tragedy. It's absolutely a tragedy. What I was going to say is thank you for having me, and hope I'm coming through loud and clear because we're I'm in a electrical storm right now, just off the coast of Guam, and
The coast of Guam?
yep, coast of Guam.
Now, that's not what I expected you to say. You know, Mr. Sweetwing, I imagine if I had spent as much time as you did in the clink, I don't know that I'd be in the dangerous waters off the coast of Guam.
Well, you know, you have to use your freedom if you've got it, and that's how I feel right now. I'm not gonna waste a single day to anything now that I have my freedom, and that means chartering a 700-foot long container ship with 26 of my best friends for 3 weeks to have a private robot chef. Then I say yes. Digo si senor.
Oh, I don't know what it means. I'm monolingual, but what does that mean?
Digo si senor means I say yes, my lord, or sir. You know, digo is to speak. Digo si is yes. Si is yes.
Yes.
Digo si senor. Senor is a man, but when spoken in this context, it means my lord. Digo si senor.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Sweetwing, I just want to thank you on behalf of our listeners for all the work that you did. You are the reason we know about the Loch Ness Monster and what became of him thanks to the machinations of the state.
Yeah.
You are the reason we understand about the water filtration process being used for the water known as smart water, which
That's right.
now we call it dumb water, I guess. If you're drinking that, you're out of your mind.
Well, now because I'm now officially separated from Jennifer, so we don't.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry to hear
It was
that.
amicable. It just wasn't working out anymore because of she has a lot of issues with her hair that I don't have time to deal with.
Now, for those of you who might be unfamiliar with Mr. Sweetwing, because you've been living in a cave on the moon, Mr. Sweetwing, his stories and his, not just his new bestseller, but his last bestseller, I don't know if he's ever written anything that didn't sell so many copies, but his stories of his wife, Jennifer,
were scintillating, to put it mildly. I think we all experienced a tightening of the spring. I guess
Yeah,
you
they
could
call
say,
that hook mouth.
Hook mouth.
Hook mouth. That's what my publisher calls it, hook mouth.
Oh, well, it wasn't my mouth that was hooked, if you know what I mean. Your stories of your wife, the vivid descriptions of her beautiful breasts, I just could see them in my mind. Such detail, such poetry. As I recall, her jugs were like the freshest milk poured over mountains of flesh.
Yep, they call them bra busters. That's the
Bra busters.
The term I coined was bra busters.
Bra busters they were. And I'm so sorry to hear that it didn't work out. These days, with the world as it is, so many people are going through so many changes, and I'm sorry to hear that was one of yours.
It worked out. It just worked out too much. Does that make sense? Just a little bit too much working out. Yeah.
Sometimes people don't understand that when you want more and you get more, you realize that's too much.
Yeah, and that's the thing with her hair. I couldn't handle the hair. It was everywhere. She was asking me to brush it in the morning, twice in the evening, and having to wake up at 3 a.m. to brush it. And this is with an industrial brush. It's very loud.
Dear
it's like
God.
having earplugs. It's sort of like a cotton gin of sorts, and that's how she gets.
This is the reason, I think, that we need another Sweetwing book talking about your theories on relationships, because I think these days the ladies of the world, they must think that us men are made of steel. How are we in the midst of our lives? How are we in the midst of our lives to have time to comb a woman's hair?
Well, I would say that we don't. The short answer is we don't. Especially my relationship with Jennifer A. That definitely there was no time for that. Not for my schedule, because I'm under contract with the U.S. Navy, and I have to appear at their behest 6 times a week. I can only do so many appearances in a day. I will try to double them up to block book them, but the Navy don't. As they say, the Navy don't play that.
No, they don't.
They don't play that.
Now, it's interesting to me that's someone who at one point was quoted by called by Senator Rand Paul, America's most dangerous weasel. I believe it was George W. Bush who said he'd like to rip your teeth out of your mouth so that you could have a hard time talking.
Well, I did bite him once, but it was his fault.
And as far as I'm aware, you're the only man in history who has bitten a former president.
Well, I've bitten 2 former presidents, actually.
What?
So, yeah, I do have the record. It's I believe it's unbreakable at this point, because now the government has passed a law that does not acknowledge any biting on anyone who serves in the highest office of the land.
So we wouldn't even know.
You wouldn't know
if there was presidential biting happening.
No, you wouldn't know unless you were literally the person who did it, and then you would know because you did it. But then, even then, it would have to be all the witnesses are killed, and the person who does the bite is taken to a brain sequester.
This episode of the DTFH has been supported by BetterHelp. Sorry. This episode of the DTFH has been supported by BetterHelp. Let me tell you, if there is a perfect time to get into therapy, it's right now during this weird time in history. But even if you feel completely happy, safe, secure, powerful, strong, I'm telling you, therapy is just badass. And I'm going to put it in the most basic way. Forgive me for this. They have to listen to you. If you find yourself in a situation where you want to get things off your chest and you just don't want to burden your friends or the people around you or your loved ones with whatever the fuck it is that you've been wondering about, thinking about, whatever's really, truly freaking you out, worrying you or making you upset, my God, therapy is an incredible luxury because you are sitting with a trained listener. They go to school for years learning how to listen to you, how to connect, and if you're like most of us, experiencing some general sense of malaise, a kind of dark sense of some ominous thing on the horizon, or maybe you're just contending with the basic fundamental challenges of having a massive neocortex, an incredibly advanced brain, and just being a bipedal, wingless hominid stuck in a gravity well, then therapy is something you should definitely check out. And if you don't like it, you don't have to keep doing it. BetterHelp is incredible because you can do it online. It's amazing. And what's even better is you fill out a questionnaire and they will find a great therapist for you. And if you don't like that therapist, you can switch whenever you want. I'm sure if you've ever looked into therapy and realized, like, how the fuck do I even pick a therapist? I don't know what any of this stuff means. Or maybe you found yourself in a situation where you've driven to a therapist's office and looked for parking, and then you realize you don't like them, and you go home and you're like, well, I just wasted hours of my fucking depressed day. I finally unglued myself from the sticky trap of depression and managed to go to an office with somebody that I just am not connecting with at all. I'm not going to do therapy. This is bullshit. BetterHelp is incredible because you do it from your home. You don't have to drive anywhere. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Stop putting it off. It's so worth it. Try BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/Duncan today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Duncan.
So, well, and of course, brain sequesters, where they remove your brain from your head for some amount of time, and then place it right back where it was. Just
they place it right back. They remove all the blood and put in the new blood. They change your blood type, which means your memories are different, and then you're free to go. Because how that works is if they kill the person who did the bite, then that will leave a bite trail because of something with the astral markers. But if you just temporarily put them out of service, replace their blood, put them back into commission, it's the same as changing the engine in a car, where you let Carl say, is that the same car? It is, but it's got a new engine, so it's a different car, because the engine's the heart of the car.
Right. And this is a question that all of us are dying to know. You've been asked it many times before, and maybe because you're on the leather rose, you will give us the answer finally.
All right.
What does a president taste like?
Well, did you ever get to have one of those Hobbit meals they had at Denny's about 10, 11 years ago?
Oh, God, I wanted one. And, I have a brief story about that. On the very last day that they were serving those Hobbit meals.
Yeah.
I finally made it into a Denny's. Waited in line for an hour. Everyone wanted that last bite.
Yeah.
Ordered the Hobbit meal. The Baggins breakfast.
Oh.
And, they ran out of eggs at a Denny's. So
At a Denny's, they ran out of eggs. That is absolutely uncalled for. There's people in some states that has a provision for that allows you to do an open call and to do a street chastisation.
Oh, I wish I had known it at the time. I left in tears. Mr. Sweetwing, let's jump into the conversation.
Let's do it.
First of all, I'm so fascinated with you. You are so many things. You are someone who survived one of the most dangerous places to be incarcerated, perhaps in the whole world. Why don't we start there?
Okay.
The prison you were in is known as Stone Manor. 80% of the prisoners don't make it out alive. The other 20% who come out generally have some form of psychosis that they do not recover from. No one, up until this point, has made it out with their minds and bodies intact. Can you talk about what it was like in Stone Manor?
Well, it was, like you said, there's a lot of things about it that I would be not able to describe because, one, I didn't see them because it's very secretive in general and I'm locked in a cell. And number two, it would be something where to describe certain parts of it would blow your mind so much you might have like an issue having a bowel movement for several weeks.
So just retelling an experience from Stone Manor is enough to make one constipated.
It makes you really constipated to the point of impaction.
Dear God.
My most recent girlfriend and her brother, I'll call him Steven, we were having brunch, and it was a nice place. We had the extra pancakes on the side, and I had my typical order of 2 orders of the ones that have the hollandaise sauce on them.
Oh, God.
Mixed with the huevos rancheros. And that's what I do, because I like to mix Mexican with French.
Delicious.
And Stephen, my then girlfriend's brother, I can't say her name. He had to go to the hospital for fecal impaction.
Dear God.
Next week, and they pulled out a something the size of a large frisbee. But if you took a frisbee and rolled it into a tube, it was feck. It was feches.
It was what?
Feches. It was feches. That's the medical word for feces. Feches.
Oh, I see.
It's a hard C. Feches.
So they pulled out the impaction. Thank God. Well,
yeah, they were able
the
to
Lord
get it.
was looking down upon your family.
Oh yeah, hoping it's looking down upon David Scrimley too. I mean, the big issue in Stone Manor is the collection of battle sweat, which is. That's what they trade in there. So they put us into these preordained battles, and we know who we're going to go up against, and we get to pick our weapons. They're all made of this very light type of breakable wood, and they collect our sweat. It's called battle sweat, and that's used to fuel these AI machines that need a bit of human DNA.
And we've all heard about this. Not this battle sweat fueled AI, of course, but we've all heard about the dangers of AI. And we all know that whatever we're seeing as far as technology goes in the world, the United States government is 1,000 years ahead of anything we're seeing. And so this does not shock me at all.
Yeah, including the fact that they do shock us to literally with electricity to get extra battle sweat out.
They shock you. This is an outrage. The land
terrible.
of the free, home of the brave. To quote George Carlin, they call it the American dream because you have to be asleep to believe it.
Yeah, that is very true. That's a joke among the prisoners at Stone Manor. We talk about that Carlin joke all the time, and even to say the word Carlin in Stone Manor is punishable by you get a slap session. They'll put you in the chamber and they'll do the slap
session.
Yeah, it's where they force the largest man who's available to do a series of slaps using a special type of wood paddle that's attached to the hand like a flipper on a seal. And it's done in rapid succession back, whack, 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 whack. And it's done until you forget how to say that word. And so people did not say that very much in Stone Manor.
Oh, my Lord. What has happened to our country? To think that prisoners daily, nightly, in the morning, at lunch, at the meal times, at all meal times are being spanked, slapped. You can almost see their buttocks in the slapping rooms laid bare. red from the palm print of the imprisoned, perhaps blistered, perhaps more than blistered, puckered, butts held upright like the head of a meerkat staring out into the plain, searching for some predator, and yet not a meerkat, the buttocks of the imprisoned, freshly punished, freshly spanked.
You got it. That's what is going on. It's really just simple as that. It's that. And we have rolling meals, so basically you can eat whenever you want. That's the good part, is the conveyor belt system. So
A conveyor belt bringing food.
It's in the food room. It's called the food room, and it's like a swim up bar without the alcohol.
A swim-up bar without an alcohol, the taste of presidential flesh, and the spanked buttocks of political prisoners. This is why you listen to the Leather Rose. And now we must cut to a commercial. When we return, you will hear the newest song from Corbin Sweetwing. His last song, of course, went completely viral on YouTube, became an anthem for those who feel that we need change in the world. And now here on the Leather Rose, you will hear his next soon-to-be, sure-to-be hit.
It's called Eagles with Tons of Claws.
Oh, that's not the one we have.
That's my old hit, the one you were referencing, Eagles with Tons of Claws.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
You know, this is why I have to get off of Ozempic. I'm telling you, it's just destroying my mind.
I thought it helps your brain.
No. And we'll be back right after the spray.
Great.
And we're back. You're listening to the Leather Rose with Corbin Sweetwing, Insider Fresh. Fresh man, fresh life, returning from his internment in the horrifying penitentiary for whistleblowers. He's here with us today. Now, Mr. Sweetwing, before we play your song, can you talk a little bit about what country singer Clint Black said regarding your ascent into country music fame? And I quote him here: "That whistleblowing twerp doesn't deserve anything more than a bullet in the heart and a crucifix burnt into his skull, like they did for the witches of old."
Well, Clint Black is entitled to his opinion, obviously. He is an artist. I've been a fan of him for his entire career. But
Absolutely.
Clint, I ran afoul Clint. I ran afoul him. It was a steam room at the Greenbrier, and he mistook me for Toby Keith. And that's because I was wearing my Toby Keith. I was a big Toby Keith person back then, and he mistook me for Toby Keith, and I said some stuff I shouldn't have had. He said some stuff he shouldn't have said, and we got into it. We tumbled into the hot tub. They had to drain the water out to stop us from fighting, because it was, we were naked, using just towels to...
Completely in the nude.
In the nude, but it was more of a towel fight, where we had the towels, the tip of the towel was very wet, so we were swinging them like swing clubs.
Incredible.
And ever since then, because he knows that there were 7 men around watching, and they happened to all be professional tennis judges, so they counted all the strikes, and I was voted de facto the winner, and it's really, you know what it is? It's just the fact that I won on a wet towel battle that was not scheduled, and he just can't let
I'm
that
sure
go.
that the man who wrote and sang the song "I'll Never Lose a Towel Fight," Clint Black, felt particularly humiliated there. To suddenly find himself whipped, naked and whipped there in that hot tub.
And the
His
thing is,
buttocks were probably up in the air, weren't they?
I wasn't going to tell anyone about it, but he decided to make it a thing. I was going to use the sanctity of breach wilbo, which declares that a fight happened in a private space in that area is de facto secretified, regardless of who witnessed it.
Confidentiality.
De facto confidentialis. I was going to invoke that for my sake as much as his. But he chose to break that, and so
He broke the invocation of
He
de
broke the
facto
invocation.
confidentialis. And I don't know why a man who lost a towel fight would ever want anyone to know.
I think he doesn't like himself, and he's using this as an excuse to continue his wayward destruction of his own property, of his brain. It's sad.
Very
it's
classic.
hideous.
Very common for
Hmm.
people who have yet to love themselves to
Oh yeah.
to bugle out their own destruction. Mm-hmm. And to think that a man who in a spa was bettered by another and the towel snapping down on his bare buttocks, pushed up, no doubt, in the air from the hot tub like an island rising from some broiling sea, two cheeks attached to an ass, and the slap of the towel wet as the tongue of a cat. Slap, tap,
Wow, I feel like
down
I've just
upon
witnessed a type of poetry that I
his
haven't heard since I was in school. That's some severe.
Well, you flatter me, friend. Speaking of poetry, when I finally listened to your song and I hesitated because as a man I don't like to feel anything. And your songs make me feel. And in my men's group, all of us feel when we listen to your music. And which is why your music is actually off limits in my men's group. No one's allowed to play it.
Well,
Oh no.
I'm honored to hear that. Even though it is a tragedy, I'm honored that you would feel that way about my music so much as to ban
We
it.
kicked Ted out
Oh.
of the men's group because he played it on the Alexa. And, you know, this is why we unplugged the Alexa after that incident. But yes, he told Alexa to play your song. Wasn't time to stop it. And before you know it, we're all just sobbing together, weeping, holding each other, sobbing and crying about our loneliness.
That touches my heart, even this far away on a boat that's circling the island of Guam at a distance. To hear that is
Yes, well, I'm sorry for making you feel. And now, here we go. It's the premiere of Corbin Sweetwing's sure-to-be hit, I've Been Paying Rent.
I've been paying rent, no one pays it for me. The global elites don't want me free. It's a dang bummer, the way things are. The rich men around here driving fancy cars. Wish I could wake up and it weren't true, but it's a real bummer. I wish it was like it used to be. We had regular summers back when children could climb trees, and dogs would sit and cats would kiss. The global elites don't want any of this. They want us at work, they want us buying clothes, they want us to save money while they buy bathrobes. Sometimes it feels like I'm in hell. I miss the old days when life was great. I wasn't overweight, and I always felt well. And my mommy would kiss me and put me to bed. But when I woke up, she would feed me breakfast and give me a bath and rub lotion on me. And my mama would laugh and then cuddle me. And my clothes were picked out and I got summer break. Didn't have to pay bills cause my parents would pay. But the lizard men took it all away. Yes, they did. They made my body expand Made my back grow hair, made my voice get deeper. Now my clothes don't fit. Movies cost more and they laugh when I ask for the kids' menu. The elites want this for me and for you. We've gotta fight back, make a loud sound. Why the hell can't a man enjoy a playground? Why the hell don't they make booster seats for adults? Are we in hell? Maybe we are. Ask the rich men in their fancy cars. Ask the rich men, ask them for it.
Just amazing.
Wow, it's great to hear that again. I haven't listened to it since we mastered it, so it's real nice to hear that.
Just a work of perfection.
Heaven down, 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 down. It all started with that. Heaven down, 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 down. Down, 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 down. 是他们那个嘎布隆班长刚成靠完台，日不进家路，会看来家会，舍不得变成没有啊，要混的上街，上街不要矛盾，是破碎了不会，因为是真有海啊，嘛拖延的水，啊。I'm on a boat, it's like a snake around Guam. We're spilling the butts and we're touching the reels. We're greasing them up and we're feeling the feels.
Oh, wow. Wow, not you were just that last lyric that just came out of you, didn't it? You didn't spend any time thinking about it, just flowed forth.
It spilled out. Just spilled out.
Quote Terence McKenna, it's a Niagara's of epiphanous beauty.
Ooh, what was he talking about there?
Exploding from your lips.
What did he say that about?
Well, he said that about dimethyltryptamine, but to me, your music is a psychedelic.
Oh.
When I listen to your music, when I feel human emotions, it's something different. I'll just leave it at that.
I appreciate you saying that, and it's something that I really feel like I have been working for in a way that's been trying to do that for a long time.
I want to thank Harry's for supporting this episode of the DTFH. You know, I love Harry's, and before I tell you why, I want to tell you about what it's like to have the giant, sticky, smelly beard that I have. Now, you might be asking yourself, why the fuck do you need razors? You have a beard. I'll tell you why. Because I have to shave my neck. I have an area of my face that my beard is not supposed to grow into. It would just keep going up my head. I'm positive about that. I would turn into a Sasquatch if I didn't shave. It's really gross too. It's like, it's not a good, like, it might not seem like it, but I have a somewhat groomed beard. Like, you have no idea what I'm battling. You have no idea what it's like to see, like, completely unwelcome, unnecessary, mutant hairs springing up out of the moles on my face and going up towards my... I think I would grow hair out of my eyeballs, but what I'm trying to get at here is that if you have a beard, or if you've ever dealt with any kind of, like, hair care stuff, and you've fucking fallen for packaging, then you will buy some kind of beard balm, cream, some hair thing that gives the impression that once you use this stuff, your hair is going to seem angelic. Your beard will be smooth and soft and nice, and it won't be some kind of matted, sad pubic bush. And then you open up whatever the fuck it was that you bought in the cool packaging, and it blows. And you got ripped off. You got beard scammed, baby. You got hair scammed because some asshole realized, oh, dude, all I have to do is, like, put some kind of, like, boutique-y looking picture of, like, a guy chopping wood on my fucking shitty cream, and they'll just rub it in their beard, and who cares if they don't buy it again? I'm only going to make 20,000 of these fucking things anyway, sell them at, like, overpriced barbershops in major cities, and then fucking retire. I win. This is not what Harry's is. Harry's is the opposite of this. These are incredible products. Whatever it is, their deodorant, their lotion, their body wash, their hair gel, it's all high quality, fantastic stuff, but their blades are the best. It's German engineered blades. Now, no offense, Harry's, doesn't bother. I mean, I'm glad it's German engineered. You know, I use Ableton to record the podcast, which was made in Germany, and I do like a lot of the tech that comes out of Germany. But the reason that I like Harry's blades is because they work amazingly and they last a long time. And the handle of the Harry's razor has the perfect weight to it. So I can imagine that I am Daniel Day-Lewis and there will be blood. And though I might not be sitting in some oil field shaving in front of my neglected, manipulated child, I still get that sense of like I'm in Westworld or something. Also, their shaving gel is incredible. And right now, you can get a 5-blade razor with a weighted handle, foaming shave gel, and a travel cover for just $3 at harrys.com/Duncan. Harry's has the highest customer satisfaction in the shaving industry. No risk trial. You don't like your shave. You don't feel like Daniel Day-Lewis. You don't feel like somebody out on the fucking prairie getting an incredible shave. No worries. It's on them. And they have a convenient subscription option that you can cancel at any time. Stop getting ripped off with charlatan creams and snake oil beard balms. With Harry's, you can get a shave that's a cut above the rest. Get started with a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/Duncan. That's harrys.com/Duncan for a $3 trial set. Thank you, Harry's.
Now, I've been putting off this question, and I can't put it off anymore.
Okay.
Recently, you alluded to a visit that you paid to the Hollow Earth in a submarine made of gold. Mm-hmm. You said that, and by the way, I proudly contributed to that GoFundMe. Used some of my retirement savings, and have yet to receive the miniature submarine.
Oh, yeah, I know, but we have a problem. It's
the $20,000
It's a Taiwan thing, and it's the Chinese-Taiwan issue, so it's locked up in customs. And
no worries. I'm just happy to fund research that many, I'm sure, would not like the public to be aware of. Now, you sailed in a golden submarine. Mm-hmm. I eagerly read every update during your journey to the Hollow Earth, and you saw, and I know you can't release the pictures, I know you can't release the video, I'd love to see it though, you found a field there in the Hollow Earth illuminated by a second sun, miles and miles of what appeared to be human buttocks growing from the earth.
Uh-huh. This was something that we found, and it didn't appear to be. It was human buttocks growing from the earth.
Just to be clear, you're telling me down there in the Hollow Earth underneath all of our feet is just a field of ass. Just plump and thin, big and small, hairy, shaved, I suppose. I guess if you're just an ass, you can't shave yourself. Did they all have hair?
Well, imagine if you saw a field of corn, but instead of being corn, it was butt. It was a behind. That's what it is. You know,
wow.
Corn is in different shapes, and sometimes the corn has a slab of corn silk. Sometimes you're like, wow, there's no corn silk on this corn. So it's the same as that.
Yes.
It's just every corn is its own corn.
And every buttocks there in the Hollow Earth, I suppose, was its own buttocks. How much time did you spend in the field of ass?
I spent the time is compressed down there significantly. So any time down there, like if you're to spend down there an hour, that's about equivalent to about a week up top on the support boat.
Okay.
So I was down there myself. I experienced about a total of 3 or 4 days down there, which meant that I can't do the math, but there was an entire new crew on the boat once I came up, and they knew that. We knew what to expect with that. And they were like, wow, he's really got sucked in one of those asses, and he just can't quit. But I'm not interested in that. I was interested in the research.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
What do you mean sucked into the ass? These were carnivores.
Some are really big, and what happens is they create an area of negative pressure. When you're down there that deep, negative pressure is very strong. It's called delta P, and you'll get sucked into delta P. Yeah, it's because it's delta pressure basically. And it's just a thing where any pressure, any area that doesn't have pressure, instantly becomes like a suck hole.
Did you do any experiments down there with the field? Was it human ass?
Well, we don't know. It appears to be a human.
Did it look like human?
It looks like it. It looks like every color of the rainbow, every shape, every style, every.
And did you try to pluck one up from the earth?
Oh, we tried.
Did you try to?
We tried, but it's strange. It's sort of like hacking at a piece of green wood. It just sort of seems to be so soft you can't cut it, and too hard to chop it.
Did you push apart the cheeks to see what lay within?
We did, and that's when we created that area of negative pressure, and that's when that was extremely dangerous. So we had to have a bunch.
What was within? Did you perchance see?
Well, we think it might be a type of a black hole. That wasn't a joke. Literally type of a gravitation that creates an event
I thought you
horizon.
were making an ass joke.
No, it literally looks like it is a black hole. That's why they're called black holes, because it's a hole that's black.
Mm-hmm. And did you happen to try to put anything into the black hole?
We made an effigy of myself and some of the crew members just to see if it would react to that, and we threw them outside the airlock, and they just got sucked in there, and so we didn't want to do it ourselves, but definitely
sucked in
to
the butts.
They got
just when was there sound that it made? I'm picturing it now. Those inner hollow.
It sounded like whispers,
puckered up and spread.
Yeah,
devouring all.
It sounded like a lot of whispering, actually, like the loudest whisper, like it was just saying all these messages.
They sing,
like I would imagine, like a song from a terrifying ghost.
The song of the inner earth butts. Maybe that's an idea for your next song.
The song
I heard
of
the butts
inner
sing.
Butts. They're open them up and it's gonna do what? Showing you where not to go. I wouldn't go down deep in that black hole. It's gonna suck you in. It doesn't care if you're a friend. Doesn't care if you're researching. It's gonna open up and pull. It's not spray. It's the opposite. You're a fool.
Dear God, you are a true genius. It's as though I were with William Shakespeare in the flesh.
Well, I do have descendantary lines that go to Shakespeare directly. Shakespeare was told to have been to my daddy or some shit.
From a scientific perspective, one thing that I would be very interested in is to see if these underworld butts was spankable.
Well, I think that's something that's not really a scientific inquiry, but
it is. Any inquiry is scientific. I mean, that's inarguable.
Okay, well, I bet you could. If it's a butt, you can slap it. Isn't that how it works? Simple as.
Well, I would know without doing the experiment myself. It's one of those things you'd have to do yourself. You'd have to go out into that field. You would have to take your hand and raise it above one of those butts.
Would you want to come down there with me next time?
I would love to. And I would be so happy to help in the experiment in any way I could, including putting my very life on the line if it meant discovering more than just the spankability of these
of these underworld asses.
Well-
It would be to more the firmness, of course. So the pinch, how do they pinch? How do they tremble?
Well-
Is it a jello-y sort of tremble, the kind of wobbly-bobbly of a ripe, plump butt? Or are they firm and tight, sort of Peloton tone?
Yeah, okay. We'll get you down there, and you can make that decision for yourself. You're just really kind of going on a tangent there that I don't know how to. I don't know what to tell you because we just don't think in those terms when we're working in that arena.
It's the Ozempic.
Yeah, I guess it must be.
I have to say, and I know many of my listeners are on Zempies. And
Zempies,
many
huh?
say that the effect is positive for their cognition. But for me, I have been completely out of it, and I don't know if I'm ever coming back. I lost 600 pounds. But
That's a lot. Wow.
I know. It's a miracle, I guess you could say, but not for my cat. God rest his soul. Because unfortunately, I eliminated my cat during a somnambulic episode.
That means when you're sleeping, right? Somnambular?
When I was asleep and I cooked Grover up.
Oh, while you were zimping?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's an injection that lasts several weeks, and, I'm zimping now, I guess you could say, but, yep, woke in the morning, went downstairs to feed Grover, and realized that Grover had been my food that night.
Joshua Jack, I can't believe that. That's terrible. I'm sorry to hear. Maybe you should consider a different style of living.
I will always take the Zempies. I just couldn't bear. I stand in the mirror and all of my body, but especially my butt, is much better than it was when I was so mid-size, as they say these days. Now, Mr. Sweetwing, I thought I would share with
Please,
the listeners something I'm sure they're going to be very excited about.
Okay.
Corbin Sweetwing is proud to announce the formation of the Corbin Sweetwing Sweet Men Sweet Group, gathering together 3 times a year in Peru.
That's right.
For men's. Again, there's Ozempic. For men only, no ladies allowed. This is a chance for men to get away from their phones. All phones will be placed in a pressure destroyer.
lockbox.
I'm not sure what that is. I read the sheet is
it's
pressure.
Yeah, that's
lockbox.
it's technically just a lockbox.
Oh, a pressure destroyer is the brand, I guess.
Yep.
And all men will sleep together in the same room, will wash together in the same washroom.
That's right.
There will be no games of any kind allowed, just men together. No gaming, no D&D, no playing of any mind games.
That's right.
Just men together, expressing their loneliness in the jungles of Peru. Tell me about the group.
Well, it's called Men of Men. Can be anything that they've been.
Men.
And it's very exclusive. You have to make sure you sign up with a deposit. And
What's the deposit? And where do I send
I
it?
would look online. I don't like to say the number out loud because it scares people.
I'm sending it
Go for
immediately.
it. You drop in there.
Carol, send whatever the deposit is.
I'm sure she'll be able to help. No problem. I'll give you a little discount. And we basically just do all types
With
of
a discount.
all types of exploring. We do micro exploring, macro, meso exploring. We're essentially just doing any type of if we find it, we go out with wooden tools when we find a crack in the ground, and we're like one person will decide this is a good crack to check out, and we'll dig in that crack until a little crack in the ground, like a little fissure in the earth.
Just a crack.
We'll just check out that little.
Sometimes cracks lead to treasure.
Well, there's crackjacks, there's stinkhounds, there's double doors, bluster buffs.
You never know what's down.
Oh,
in
you
there.
never know. Yeah, there could be a bluster bank, could be a sweater huck, maybe could be like
anything.
a flip friend, could be a steam wagon, even like a oh gosh, there's just so much you might find on there, even like a Jerusalem cricket.
Humans are part of the earth, and we all have cracks.
This is true. I'm excited to have you, and it's going to be it'll be a fun trip to do.
Tell me about the shutter, the men's huddle, the shutter cuddle. What is it? The
huddle
shuttering
shutter?
cuddles?
So
huddle
we
shutter.
have to wait till there's a Category 5 storm, and what we do is we put on like a special tarp that's made of sealskin, and it goes around a group of 31 to 36 men, and they create basically like a ball, and we protect ourselves using ourselves from the storm surge and the winds and such like that by creating.
Well, I won't be coming if that's the case, and I don't want to talk about it. Now I want to show you a few things. These are a variety of films that have been sent to me by the listeners of the Yellow Rose. They don't know what they are. And hearing that you were coming on the show, they asked would I show them to you to see if you could identify them. Let's begin. What are we looking at here?
Oh, that's a classic. That's a spindle. Oh, we call it a spindle winder, but it has a very long technical term. This is a type of earth drill that uses a laser technology to go into the center of the earth to do core sampling.
A core sampling drill. On to the next one. And what do we have here?
That's a Chevy flow ring.
What the name of God is
It's
that?
actually a type of a dessert that the indigenous people of Canada would make on a birthday celebration, and it's what it is. It's got like a little piece of something in there that's got extra. It's really chewy, and it's got some of that really special blubber from a walrus that goes on the top inside the snow.
Tell me what this is.
Oh, this is Monica Scheitauer. She is a vegan witch who we had to have put into a special type of reverberation chamber for the last year, so she was not able to influence any type of elections happening in South America.
I want to thank the folks at Z Biotics, not just for supporting my family via this podcast, but also for creating this incredible, game-changing product. Listen, you've heard about this stuff before, maybe you don't believe it, and I would not promote it if it didn't work for me. This is something that you can use before a night out with drinks. It's called Z Biotics Pre-Alcohol, and I tried it. And I was skeptical, but the reality of it is all of us from time to time like to go out and have a few drinks. But there's some sense, especially if you're in my 50-year-old aging body, that there is going to be a high price to pay for the booze. But there is now a surefire way to wake up feeling fresh after a night of drinking, and that's with Z Biotics Pre-Alcohol. Pre-Alcohol is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. We all think it's dehydration. If that was the case, then if you drank a bunch of water, you should fucking feel better the next day. Oh no, we know that doesn't work sometimes. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make Z-Biotics your first drink of the night, drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. And let me tell you, there is something magical about waking up the next day expecting to feel like Lord Lucifer has been hammering some infernal anvil against the interior of your skull and you feel fine. It's magic. Highly recommend it. There's so much going on. Get the most. Vacations, weddings, birthdays, and reunions. There's so much going on. Get the most out of your summer plans by stocking up on pre-alcohol now. Go to zbiotics.com/Duncan to get 15% off your first order when you use Duncan at checkout. Pre-alcohol is backed with 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/Duncan and use code Duncan at checkout for 15% off. Thank you, ZBiotics, for sponsoring this episode and our good times.
Dear God. And, oh, the Ozempic. Ugh. And now, can you tell me, one moment, yeah.
I mean, you can see her extracting the feather custard right there.
Help me, it's happening.
I'm going to be going out of satellite range pretty soon here.
We're almost done. What are we looking at here?
This is a classic case of a pumpkin ceremony with the second-born child using Jack the Jeek. Yep, this is something we actually stole from a culture that was discovered in Macau.
Well, no one gives a shit about that. Now, finally, the last question, and I know this is going to come as a shock to many fans of you and your books. You have a twin.
I do.
Johnny Pemberton.
I do.
Tell me about your twin's show.
He's
York
busy.
City.
He's
Is it
moving
New
around a
York?
bunch. He's going to be. He keeps me up to date. I don't keep him up to date. But he says he's going to be in New York City on July 21st.
New York City?
New York City. They got some great pizza there. I've had it. I have to stay away from New York because I'll eat the pizza until they run out of cheese.
And what's the name of the
This show's called Minnesota Reggae Colostomy Bag, and it's at the Soho Playhouse, he says. Yeah. Simple as that.
What's
Minnesota
it called
Reggae Colostomy Bags, and it's at the Soho Playhouse, July 21st.
Soho Playhouse, and play about butts.
I guess so. Who knows what he's up to. It's probably wild and weird and fun and something like that. If it's in New York, you know how they are.
Corbin Sweetwing, what a joy it has been to share my life
Thank
with
you for having me.
I look so forward to your men's
I can't
group.
wait to have
I
you.
look so forward to all of our adventures together, and I will be looking for you in my dreams, in my dances.
We will have a spice festival in your name.
That I don't remember, and I do not remember them. You have been listening to The Leather Rose, and I have been...
Yeah, okay.
Oh, dear.
Are you okay there? Are you okay?
Oh, dear.
That was The Leather Rose, everybody. Thank you so much for watching or for listening. You guys are the best. And I I really hope that you are maintaining some real peace and calm and happiness, and maybe even figuring out a way to enjoy yourself during this fucking awful, rotten, terrible, recurring bullshit that happens anytime we're about to elect a new president. I love you. I'll see you next week.